Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in this wonderful world of ours. Today we have a very special guest, Anne-Marie Meyer. She's a level 5 coach. She's also practices many modalities, hypnotherapy, NLP, acupuncture, amongst many, many other things. Today she's on the show. She's going to do life purpose reading. It's fascinating. Anne-Marie's work is fantastic. I've known her for a long time. And it's a privilege to have her on the show today to talk about an amazing concept, really. So, Anne-Marie, welcome to the show. What is a life purpose reading?
Hi, Jimmy. Nice to see you. So, a life purpose reading is based on a numerology, really. I use a couple of different systems. So, there's going to be about 3 different systems that I bring into the mix here, just to really have a look at your name that was given to you at birth. Metaphysically, they say the name on our birth certificate was, intuitively channeled to our parents, obviously unconsciously to them. And that's the name that brings in all our spiritual gifts, our talents, and the challenges, karma, lessons that we're here to learn in the world.
That's really fascinating.
It's really fascinating because, even if, like me, I'm adopted, so my name got changed a couple of months after I was born, but I still have to use my original birth name when I do my soul plan reading, because that was the resonance that I was designed to come into the world with. That carried with it the karma, the talents that I have, and the ultimate soul destiny that I'm here to achieve. So when I looked at my original birth name and compared it with the name that was changed, they're quite similar, actually. The challenges were the same, which was quite interesting. So I've looked at your birth name, the name that you gave me that was on the certificate, and I've also looked at a few different systems as well. The reason being, the way I like to work with people when I coach them, is I get a real insight into who they are, what their soul is wanting them to achieve. And I understand on a kind of spiritual level why they are facing what they're facing and what talents they've brought into this world to help them overcome those challenges more easily.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. And how did you get into life purpose reading, Anne-Marie? I know you have a very open mind and you studied many things over many years, and you have a fascinating story in terms of how you got to where you are. And what got you into life purpose reading? What sort of motivated you? What intrigued you about life purpose reading?
Well, I think I'm quite a lifelong learner, really, and I'm really into knowing the metaphysics. I just want to know answers to how the universe works and
Yeah.
how people operate. And I don't believe it's just about our physical body, and I don't believe it's just about what we see with our eyes. I believe that there is more to us and that we are just energy. Therefore, we've come here with an energetic frequency, and whatever system resonates with me, I will kind of explore to see how it feels with my belief system. And I've done it on myself, I've done it on many other people, and a lot of it makes sense. So I'm really interested to do it on you, and what I've read so far about you really kind of makes sense to me, and it'd be interesting to see how it fits with you and what you've faced as a child, and where you are now, really.
That's fascinating, and I think that a lot of viewers have got a intellectual curiosity, and I'm sure a lot have got experiential curiosity. So I felt that it'd be a good idea to do. Yeah, I'll happy to nominate myself, and we spoke about the interview, and I really want to thank you for preparing the interview. So yeah, I'm more than happy for you to have a go with me. Just before we sort of have a go, and people watching are probably really curious experientially going forward. How can people come for the reading, Anne-Marie? What's their main purpose? If someone contacts you for the reading, what's their main reason for doing it? As a I know no one's got the same reason as everybody else, but generally speaking, why would they want a reading?
Most people are quite open-minded when they come for a reading like this. They're into knowing more about themselves. So they definitely come with an open mind. And a lot of people now are waking up to spirituality. They're waking up to healing modalities. You know, we know kind of consciousness is taking on a whole new meaning, and people are just becoming so much more interested. And a lot of these systems are based on really ancient philosophies. So, you know, it's like everything comes back around again. Science is catching up and is educating a lot of people on what energy is. You know, call it what you like, call it spirituality or call it energy, it's all the same thing. But most people really want to know what their purpose is in life.
Yes, for sure. And that's really fascinating. And from a scientific point of view, I mean, science forms the backbone of a lot of my work. And from a scientific point of view, I personally think that we know too little to rule anything out. I think science has taken us, Anne-Marie, to like the edge of a pier, but there's an ocean we don't understand. And science, what was fashionable or in 10 years ago, now it's changing. What we do have now in science that we didn't have before is modern technology like MRI scanning and fMRI and EEGs, and they can sort of give us a better understanding of the mind to a point. They've still got the limitations, mind, just another story for another day. But we've got to like an edge of a pier, and there's an ocean there. And I think that we know too little in science to rule anything out. But I think we know too much in science to follow one storyline too, one modality. I think it's about having a holistic approach, holistic being, an open mind, and looking at biology, psychology, sociology, and all how these interact to combine to form someone's pattern of behavior or maladaptivity or activity, really. So I think that's why it's good to have that in mind. And I really enjoy your work. I really like your work. And I think that one of the things for sure about you, Anne-Marie, is you do walk your talk. And that's an important thing. I think that, you know, your journey has been fascinating. And I think that people we did an interview previously talk more about your journey. And what fascinates me about your journey is a lot of the education I've done tells me that people in, you know, what you've been through, there's like a stigma in terms of, I mean, obviously everyone's different, not insinuating I know everything about what you've been through, but the story you mentioned to me, you've certainly, you know, really broken stigmatic mold and done substantially well. And I can't remember who it was. You mentioned, you know, you were adopted, and you mentioned care. I don't know who it was now. I think I might have been sitting in a lecture a while ago. It's just, I don't recall, but it'll come to me at some point. But someone was saying to me that, you know, children who are moved in the care system suffer abandonment trauma. And there's a story that I think I might have emailed you or texted I came across, but I said in World War II in the UK, the children who were moved to the bombing was going on in London, and the children who were moved away from London to the countryside, the beautiful English countryside, to safety, away from their parents, allegedly had more trauma than the ones who stayed in the bombing with their parents. Now, I say that loosely. I heard that a long while ago, but whatever way we look at it, for sure, you know, the system, for all that it is, and a lot of positives, and I'm not here to have a go suggest what the system is, it isn't. It's just to sort of highlight how you shared your story elegantly and beautifully on the last interview, how you managed to sort of break through that stigma, and the percentages of, you know, young people who come through that system who struggle for one reason or the other. You're doing it, you've done it, and I don't know how much that's down to your own motivation, your own focus, your own tenacity, your own will, or all those things really. But, you know, good for you, and you're practicing, and you've done a lot of things, and you help many, many people. So I just share that with people because I think it's important for people to sort of be aware that you are walking your talk, and I really think that's important. People have an open mind, because people have got, a lot of people have got preferable domains. I think one thing works better than the other, and I think for me, open mind is key, and that's one of the reasons I think today is really fascinating. We're going to go into a whole new realm. I don't know a great deal about life reading, so I'm really intrigued, and I'm really pleased that you'd come on and have a go. So yeah, let's fulfill people's experiential curiosity, and let's have a go.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate, you know, this is not this is kind of not the norm of the type of thing that you will talk about. And I appreciate the opportunity for letting me do it, because that's my dog in the background. The more,
Yeah.
the more and more people that see it, hear it, explore it, the better. Science is great, but it is just working with the mind and what can be proven. And people, I think a lot of this spiritual, awakening stuff is all experiential. People feel things. They don't, it's not about the mind. Healing, actually, yeah, it does come from the mind. It's a belief system. And eventually maybe science will just get to the point where spirituality is just about going within for the answers, knowing that we're all connected, and you go within it. And you talk about separation and the trauma it causes, on a spiritual level. People get disconnected, and we've spoken over email about it and how it affects people when they do get disconnected in the physical, and more so the emotional sense, the abandonment issues that it causes, and the trauma and the ripple effect it has. Spiritually, it's beneficial for people to at some point turn within to find that connection, and then generally find that connection to energy or source or something outside of themselves. I think Eckhart Tolle, has written a book, The Power
Yeah, I
of
believe
Now.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, where he literally just goes within and he becomes an observer of his own thoughts.
Yes.
Spirituality is not anything other than what probably a lot of the concepts and techniques that you teach people. It's about going within for the answers and knowing that
Yes.
you are connected to something, and finding some solace in that, in whatever way suits you. Everybody's different, and everybody will find a different way of tapping into to their own power, really.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that, I really enjoy Eckhart Tolle's work, and I really enjoy reading mindfulness, and I teach mindfulness. I really like mindfulness a lot. I still think even mindfulness, and Marie, has limitations, because some people struggle to sit still. It's confronting the demons of their mind, and there's no escape. We fight, we freeze, we run, we fight, freeze, we flop, whichever way you look at it. And I think for some people who have suffered trauma, to be mindful is one step too far, in the sense that their brain development, now we can sort of validate that scientifically, will struggle to just sit there and have nowhere to run. And that's another story for another day. But the reason I mention that is that everyone's unique, and everyone's as unique as a thumbprint. It's just finding what works for them to help them move forward and live a more productive life, a more beautiful life, because life can be very challenging, but it can also be a wonderful experience too. So, that for me is important. But yeah, let's have a go, Emma. I'm intrigued to see what's how this goes. So, yeah.
Woohoo. So I'm going to be looking at different things that I've got on my desk here, just referring to different things, because I'm using different systems. So first, one of the systems that I use is something called Human Design System, and I use the Gene Keys, and I use the Soul Plan System. So when I look at you, I want to know I want to help you understand how to best use your energy. What energy type are you, and how should you be using it to maximize your potential? And you are the same as me. You're something called a generator. So generators are most of the population, and we're the workers of society. We're like the worker bees. And we like to work, but we only like to work. It's so important for generators to find the work that they love, because they will do it to their maximum potential. And generators have huge auras. Their auras are really expanded, so people are drawn to them. And the way that you operate, the same as me, you have something called a sacral authority. So this is how you will know whether you're making the right choices or not. It's a bit of a funny one, this, and you have to experiment with it. Now, until I did this, I didn't know I was a generator. Because what generators need to do is they need to wait for opportunities, where I go into a sense of frustration when I'm trying to manifest, when I'm trying to go out and make things happen and they're just not happening. That puts me in a state of frustration. So I find when I step into the generator energy and I sit back and I wait for life to bring me the opportunities, then things start to happen naturally. So the way that you should respond is through sacral authority. So it's through your sacral center. And you will know because you will make noises. So you will go, uh-huh, or it's listening to the way your body is making a sound for you to get used to yes or a no or a maybe. So it's kind of getting in tune with your sacral center and your body and listening for the noises that it makes to tell you if you're going in the right direction, if you're saying yes to the right thing, etc. You have when you look at this system, it shows up the body in the different energy centers. You have a defined G center, which is a defined heart center. I don't have this, which means that I've been influenced by conditioning. You haven't. So a defined G center is when you have a fixed and reliable identity and you have the ability to love yourself and others without feeling dependent on them. Does that make, would you resonate with that?
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah, no, definitely. I think that yeah, no, so in what you're saying there is my own definition of self and how I feel about myself and others in terms of my interpretation is that perhaps maybe I require little, or I mean I like any other human being, I appreciate validation. I don't crave it. I know what I stand for, Anne-Marie. I know what my intention is, and I'm just going to keep going and keep doing it to the best of my ability. But then again, saying like I've done in the past, I'm not afraid to make big changes and take my life into a different direction. So, and that people don't always agree, and that's fine too. You know, people come and they go. But yeah, that sort of resonates with me if I've understood that correctly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's defined, it means that you know yourself and that you. You know, and it means that you're not reliable on other people for love, and you have the ability to love yourself and love others, but you're not dependent on other people for it.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Yeah, very much so. I love myself, not in a vain way, but something that I've worked on, and I think that's a really important point you made, and part of my evolution as a human being, as a person personally, has been that. Because I've struggled with that for years. For years, my identity was based on who I thought I should be.
Yeah.
For many, many years, and that was being a striver in sport, and it served me well. Then when I got a taste of education, because I wasn't academic at school, I kept studying and I kept striving, and I started doing stuff that learning that really wasn't really for me, and it wasn't until I had this big realization, and I thought, well, okay, I was working in football full time, and I loved the job and loved what I was doing, but I felt that I'm more than this. I want to make a big impact in the world in whichever way I can. And at that point, I still didn't fully appreciate who I was until I spoke to a spiritual teacher, and she taught me I can't give what I don't give to other people, what I don't give to myself. And at first, I felt really contrived when I sort of was practicing self-love techniques. I felt really contrived. I felt really wishy-washy. I felt I can't do this. But then after a few months of doing it and introspection, and it was tough. That was for sure. There were some really tough moments, getting to know yourself and looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, okay, this is who I am, this is what I stand for. It's not easy, but eventually I just had this sense of peace, which I can't explain to anybody else, and I've tried to, and it's hard to define it. Just a sense of, okay, I'm okay. I'm good with myself, and I have moments like anybody else, don't get me wrong, but as a general rule, I agree with your statement there, where I'm willing to give people love, even if it's not reciprocating. If nothing else, sometimes I'll give them more because they probably need it more than other people. So, you know, I'm fine with that. The way I respond to people now in terms of their opinion or their thoughts, and I kind of have evolved to that point where I'm more than happy to send gratitude, you know, love and peace to people, even if it's not reciprocated in the same way I give to them. And I think by doing that, I just grow as a person. So that's what I've got to in my life, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you've come here with a big mission, you will know that innately that you're here with a big mission. You've got quite a lot of strong responsibility, actually. I would see it as quite a big responsibility, having certain aspects of your profile. And you will probably have taken a lot of shit in your life as well. Like, people will project onto you. They will either see you as a savior, but if you put one foot wrong, then you'll be slayed.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's that polarity of you being this, like, godly figure that he's got all the answers, he's going to save me, or the opposite of that. So you're kind of always treading a fine tightrope of making sure your reputation is intact.
Yeah, I think so. I think that sort of stems from the early days being in sport as an athlete, and certainly as a coach. Being in sport at the highest level as a coach, Anne-Marie, there's a big responsibility, especially when you're sort of nurturing young professional sports people and players, and they look at you as a role model. And some of them, even now to this day, they're on my Facebook, they keep in touch, and they still call me coach, they still call me by my surname, and I'd like to think that I left an impression on them. And then even in my career, in doing what I do now, which is quite versatile, I do, and I know there's been a lot said in the media, and people have got their opinion about me, and they have done, from the days of the message boards in football right through to traveling and doing courses around the world and doing interviews for different people who come along. And some people come to the courses to write about me because I'm quite, I'm an extroverted person in one sense, but in the other sense I'm quite introverted too. So I think that my versatility, my passion for music as well influences what I do. And that puts me out there, that's for sure. So I do feel sometimes I would say, more overwhelmed, not about what people are thinking and my reputation. So I focus on my intent. But my intent, I've got big goals, and the goals have taken me now to do a lot more research. And I've been studying for a long time, as you're well aware, and I carry on studying, and my studies have taken me to a new direction now. And in the studies I'm doing now, I've set some big targets for myself in terms of how I can make an impact on the world. And I'd like to help people who are less fortunate, not just in life in general, people who are less fortunate in terms of their own mental health. And that's one of the things I really want to help people. I want to help people who've got autism. I want to help people who've got Parkinson's. I want to be able to do that. And that's one of the reasons why I really pushed onto neuroscience. And I'm not ready to make the impact I want now in that area, because I'm still learning a lot. But I'm taking what I have learned over many, many years, over many, many modalities, and I'm really starting to sort of streamline it. And I'm learning off some of the greatest people you could ever wish to learn off. And I've got these big targets I've set, and I'm not on a crusade, Anne-Marie, that's for sure. But I think that, you know, there's a bigger picture in life. And I think that for me, one thing that does impact a lot on me is human suffering. And I feel what people feel. And you talked about energy. If there's someone in the room who's suffering, I feel it. And in the very early days of me doing my work, it became really draining because I feel it. If someone walks into a room and they're suffering, I feel it. If someone is so much on the other side of the lake when I'm going for a walk, he's suffering on some level, for some reason I channel that frequency, and I feel an obligation to do the best I can to help whoever comes my way. So my philosophy in life's always been to leave the person I'm with in a better place than they were when I met them. And but yeah, you know, and I think that's for sure. That's a perfectly valid point. I don't know if I'll get around to achieving some of the targets I've set myself. I'd like to make a big impact in schools. I'd like to. I still have a drive and passion for sports and business too, but ultimately I also have this, desire to help people perhaps shift their paradigm and think more along the lines of there's enough for everybody, we're all connected, love and peace, to make it a nicer world, because everyone's entitled, I think, to necessities, food, water, health, hygiene, love, and we're all entitled to that. And somewhere along the line, I think that, the human race, as good as a lot of people are, it seems that people have lost their way too. So yeah, I sort of put that, and I agree with that. That's an interesting observation.
Yeah, you really are on a big mission here. Like looking at your whole hologenetic profile, you are on a massive mission, to be honest, and it is relating to changing systems. It's about making a massive contribution into society and helping groups, but bringing groups together. Your kind of sole message is you're here to draw like-minded people to you, to help them to become whole and to integrate all that they are, to unify groups and bring them together. You act as the link in the middle of the chain who pulls others towards them to catalyze and unify others. You will be a powerful key figure of change and influence in society. The profile that you have with the human design is a 5-1. That won't mean anything to you, but you can look it up. There's a lot of information there. If you put in 5-1 human design, you'll get a lot of information. And I'll send all different links to you for this as well, so you can look up more, because there's so much more than I can do in this short time. But the profile that you've come in with is someone who assists people finding their purpose. So you assist as other people to find their purpose in life. You will be able to see into people, and you will be able to see what skills and talents and gifts they've got, and you will be able to help them by placing them in the best opportunities, if you like, or giving them the best way of helping them express their own abilities. So you bring into this world an energy of depth, and you are to contribute your depth to the world. You bring in a bit of transpersonal karma in with you, so you are dependent on other people to achieve your contribution, basically. And that will be past life stuff where, maybe people have wronged you in past life. You're here to clean that up. You're here to help and assist the people that you didn't in previous lifetimes. So this is not just about you and a one-man mission. This is about you and other people. You need other people to make this happen. So for your contribution to be as impactful as it's going to be, it's not just about you, it's about other people as well that you meet along the way that can help you and I guess help you achieve things. That could just be through the learning, that could be through the networking, the people that you know, the contacts that you've made. And this depth can take on any field of interest that you choose. It's about you learning to have patience. As a generator, it's not so bad. There are other energies that don't have any patience at all. Generators, when they know that they're a generator and they get it, that they need to kind of wait for life to bring them the opportunities, and that can help you find more patience. And it's about waiting for the right encounters where your depth can then shine. Your drive will be to provide deeper understanding to a process, a product, or a system, so it can be made better and you can help them bring more joy into their life. You are designed to be an authority figure in the world, but you must balance control with yielding. So must balance over control with being too flexible to maintain your natural authority. Ultimately, you must stand out in your community and truly own your potential. The purpose of your life is to watch your own development process without blocking it in any way. So it's about being that observer and watching how you're growing and unfolding and transcending. If you allow yourself to stop expanding, then you will stop transcending. So every stage of your life is simply building towards a greater expression of freedom on all levels. Ultimately, if you let go and trust in the process, you are destined to transcend even your own destiny, which is the most mystical state of all. Does that resonate with you, some of that?
Yeah, no, very much so. I think patience, very much so. I think that I want everything yesterday sometimes, and I think that's true. I think that that's something I'm learning to cultivate. I agree. There's people I do depend on my journey. I'm very fortunate too, by the way, to have some great teachers and mentors, some of the best in the world in their field, from a variety of disciplines. So I'm very, very fortunate. I don't take that for granted. Over many, many years, I've had some of the best people teach me, and I have some best people teach me now, which is fantastic, and I'm able to learn and draw from them my own unique style. But definitely going forward, a lot's going to depend on not just myself, but I've sort of come to that realization. I can only do what I can do, and if I do it to the best of my ability, then that's as much anyone can do. And I'm learning to be more patient. That's for sure. I'm learning that fine line you mentioned between control and letting go, and finding a balance somewhere in the middle, which is a good thing, I think, in one sense. That said, it's not as easy as that, I think, because, like you said, I think that maybe it is something I have limited control over. I don't know, at least unconsciously, sort of, peeling back and letting things unravel. I think I've got the tendency sometimes to sort of push and push and push, and that sometimes can be frustrating. But I do get the balance. I do make time for meditation and walking and playing music, and that's my way to recalibrate myself and lose myself in a different world. But that's really fascinating stuff, Anne-Marie. It's really.
So then I looked at your soul plan, and this is based on the Star of David, Star of Creation. It's a 6-pointed star, and each point on the star represents different overlays, different aspects of us that we've, come here to learn the challenges, know what the talents are to help us get out the challenge, and ultimately what your soul destiny is here to achieve. And we share some similar numbers. So this is based on numerology. So the first point of your challenge, you may resonate with this as a child. Now, you've got exactly the same as me, and I totally resonated with this. So you have a 7-7 as your first part of your challenge, so in your early years. And the message about the 7-7 really is to heal the heart. It means that when you step out of this challenge and you switch on the talent, you actually have this number in the rest of your chart as a talent. So it's quite capable, and I think you're already embodying this now. But the 7-7 is a really magnetic number. It's really catalytic. It draws people together. It's great networker. I don't mean going out and doing the whole business networking. I mean drawing people in, like-minded groups. It's really open-hearted. It provides that loving, compassionate space. When it's in a challenge, it just means we have some lessons to learn. And it's about isolation. It's about wanting to hide away from the world. It's about not wanting to reveal the true self through fear of rejection. It can be controlling of the self and of others. If it's directed towards the self, it can manifest as eating issues or excessive exercise. It can create intimacy issues as the fear of people getting too close and seeing the real you. So, and you can feel like people invade your space as well. So this is about really, it's embracing the shadow side. it's embracing and loving every aspect of ourselves, because in this challenge we can try and suppress our shadow side so we don't put it out there to people, you know, because people won't like us, let's say, or they won't accept us. So once we've stepped out of that, we then understand that was a lesson that I had to learn to be this way, to learn to be open-hearted, to be catalytic, to be magnetic to people, to not hide away from the world, to expose the real me, because people will be drawn to that. Does that resonate with you as a child, maybe?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. Definitely, I think that's been part of my ongoing development, and certainly one of the fuels that burns the fire for me in terms of my path is to put the wrongs right, and not least in me, in other people, because it can be very debilitating to be in a situation like that. And certainly, I had a very challenging upbringing, and I think that I found sport as a salvation in one sense. And I went so far in that environment, I then decided to help people who I felt were in the same situation I'm in, because we all can do with a bit of help. And I don't sort of undermine people. I'm sure they could have found their own way, but certainly my driving force, and Marie, of doing talks in schools and helping young people has been based on my own sufferings as a young person, and that fear of not fitting in, that fear of rejection, that fear of not being enough, that sort of, and you know, it took me a while and a lot of suffering to get through that. And every now and again, even now, sometimes it creeps in, and I do have you know, a space, very much so. But I think I can manage it. I think that, you know, like all of us, certainly me anyway, it's work in progress. But I see it as a gift, and it's a gift because I can then resonate with other people who are going through what I went through. And I feel that certainly for me, it was a case of heal others, heal yourself to a point, albeit I didn't go on my mission to do what I was doing to heal myself. It was purely coincidental. I had this realization that whilst I was helping people overcome some of the issues I had growing up, I was galvanizing in strength and realizing that, you know what, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here. So I got closure from realizing that, you know what, that's the best thing that could have happened to me from the path I want to go. So if that makes sense. But yeah,
it's really true, and I can really resonate with everything you said. I still struggle with the 7-7. I've got a lot of 7-7s in my different names that I've got. They're all a challenge for me. They're all in the challenge area. And I totally resonate with that. You know, I am more comfortable hiding away. I'm more comfortable being on my own than in a relationship. You know, these are challenges that I've really had to face. And you know, once you kind of are aware what your challenges are, and you're aware of what your talents are and what the talent lies within going through the challenge, then you kind of understand it's, you know, part of what I do is about bringing people together. And I heal people in a similar way to you, because of you've walked in somebody's shoes, you know, you can empathize with them. That creates a healing space for them instantly, you know, through this. But I'm interested to try and piece this together. It's a bit of a personal question. It's to you if you answer it. But as a child, and I know that you've had some really hard times, but as a child, did you feel loved?
That's a, you know, interesting question. I guess it depends how we define love, and I think love is only a word until we give it meaning. In one sense, I would say, in the conventional sense, I felt a certain type of love, not the same love that other people I could see around me were getting. Now that was for a variety of reasons, and I guess my parents did the best they could with what they had from a resource point of view. But certainly, I didn't have what other people had, and
but okay, just no.
What I saw, yeah, I didn't. You know,
yes or no, and let's just see how your body responds. As a child growing up, forget, like, you know, teenage hardships or when you started to, you know, be your own person. as a small child, did you feel loved?
By the people who,
By your mum, so the people who were bringing you
yeah,
up?
I didn't feel I didn't feel it. I didn't think that they expressed it in the way that subconsciously I could see other people from a parental point of view. Um, and this, be it unconsciously, you'd see other people's parents react to them in a different way than mine would react with me. So me being open and honest, we maybe for financial reasons we didn't have a lot, but there was no birthdays or Christmas, or there was no tactile relationship, in the sense that I'm a very tactile person. My kids, and I always make a point of giving them a big hug when I see them, because I realise the importance of them feeling safe. And also, I think that tactile is a big part of chemicals like oxytocin. And whilst I'm, Mr. Touchy-feely type thing, and I understand borders and boundaries, I certainly think from that point of view, I didn't receive that, and I don't overcompensate now. I've certainly found myself in that respect, but I would say, and I could talk the next how many hours, but there's certain events in my life that have happened. I had very severe asthma as a child, very, very severe asthma. I was hospitalised on several occasions for asthma. There was one occasion as a 5-year-old, I can vaguely remember it, being in hospital with severe asthma and having been admitted in hospital. And at that point there, it was, I can vaguely remember it, and I've done regression to sort of clean things up there, and I didn't get the support, which even to this day I feel really intriguing. I could never understand, me being a parent now, and how much I love my children and what I would do for them, and also for people in general. I could never understand how. But then, being in the field of what I am now, I've got a better understanding of people's makeup, biologically, psychologically, sociologically. But the wounds are there, and I suppose, to cut a long story short, I would say I didn't, Anne-Marie. That's being honest. I mean, I have siblings, and I felt connected to them, and they were great. But certainly from a parent point of view, I didn't feel that sort of. I couldn't say to you, and if you asked me, did I feel safe? No, I didn't. I didn't feel safe at all. I felt that there was no, for whatever reason, I don't know. But no, I didn't. I didn't.
I'm just trying to piece this jigsaw together with the Defined Heart Centre, and obviously, the feeling of the isolation with the 7-7. Did you feel loved by your siblings as a child?
Yeah, I mean, in as much as they can do, and it's as much as they can do, and they're in the same environment that I'm in, and they're experiencing similar situations that I'm in, and I felt a much stronger connection to them, and certainly. But then when you're young, it's a different story. You're all young, and as you grow older, you kind of have these realizations. So I would say I felt a much stronger connection.
Because there's something that is like speaking to me, is kind of saying, I get what you're saying about the situation with parents and not feeling that connection, or thinking, actually, this isn't how it should be. But there must have been possibly the conditions that you were in, despite the conditions, a kind of current of bonding, of love, even though the conditions were not what they should have been. There seems to have possibly been, at a soul level, within that family dynamic, within you, it's given you a sense of kind of love, so you can love yourself, really.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that I was for whatever reason, as far back as I can remember, for one reason or the other, I was always the center of attention. For some reason, I felt love beyond my own immediate family. But other people would sort of, and I don't know if they do it with other people, but certainly I from as young as I remember, 5, people would stop and comment and you know, say things, and other families. And so I was certainly in that respect, for one reason or the other, when I went to school, the teachers would always seem to dote over me. I don't know if it was because they felt that on some level I was struggling, because you could probably see that from, you know, we struggled, and you know, even things like clothing and shoes and food, and they can see. I don't know if it was down to that, or just down to the energy I gave them, and one will never know in that respect. But I certainly can remember as far back as I can, you know, teachers going the extra mile, at least when I was younger, for sure, in my development years, to look after my welfare. I think that I was that sort of person. But also, as a sort of, even young, I was quite enthusiastic in one sense. I was always upbeat. So maybe I only knew what I knew, but I think biologically, I had this sort of disposition of being upbeat no matter what the circumstances were. I can remember playing sport as a 5-year-old and thinking, I'm going to turn this game around and win at some point. And I had such an enthusiasm for life, and a love for life, even at that age. So I don't know if that was nurture, probably more nature, but it is what it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, saying that just like brings me on to the talent that you have, which will help you get out of any challenge.
Mm.
So the talent that you have, the numbers that correlate to that are the 9-9, and that is really about an unstoppable power within you. That's the dragon serpent energy. It's a really highly spiritual and creative number, but it means that the person who holds that in their chart has great self-belief.
Yeah.
So despite the circumstances, you will have had great belief in yourself, and you would have known that within you resides this power, you know, this unstoppable power. You know, as a child, you won't have been able to name it, but you may have just been able to think, I can do whatever the hell I want if I put my mind to it. And I know that you have done things like that as a child. It means that you can work in a balanced way. It will help. This number 9, this power number, will help you push through any challenge to achieve your goals. It makes you quite the protector of other people as well. People will feel protected when they're in your space, and you will feel protected by higher forces, you know, unseen forces type of thing.
Yeah, very much so, for sure, very much so, and that's spot on. And people told me I couldn't do what I want to do sports-wise when I was a teenager, and it didn't stop me. I traveled the world and went to Europe and the UK and the USA, and that came to an end for injury. And at that point, I started studying, and I was doing a course called Sports Performance Conditioning at Loughborough Uni, and I was poor academically. At school, I didn't do well academically. I didn't know a noun, a verb. I didn't know the alphabet, and I was doing a course, and I really focused, and it was my first true taste of academia, and I just pushed my way through. And since that age, I've been a lifelong learner. I've studied many things, you know, hypnotherapy, psychology. These days, I study neuroscience at the most prestigious university for neuroscience in the world. I study it. And I get through, and I suppose in one sense, you know, the last 20 years I've studied so many different things, and so many things I've applied myself to, be it radio. Jim, you can't do that, you don't articulate yourself really, really well, and we take the show to number 1. People say you'll never make a presenter, a public speaker, and I end up touring the world doing courses and developing my own therapy. So I've had that all the time, and I've had people, and if nothing else, you know, people doing that for me, Anne-Marie, it makes me even more spurred on, because I'm not doing it for me. What I do, I don't do for me. I could quite happily ride off in the sunset. I had a great job in sport. I was well paid. I left it because I had a bigger mission to fulfill. I left a really well paid job to earn next to nothing really immediately overnight. And I'll never bat an eyelid, and I don't sort of complain about it, because I went on my mission, you know. And don't get me wrong, you know, we can't live on fresh air. We've got to make a living, and I've learned that as well. But ultimately, for me, there's a bigger picture. You know, when people sort of, you know, brag on about how much money they're making being a coach, and I see that, and it doesn't resonate with me. I never went into therapy and coaching for that. If it was for that, I would have just stayed doing what I was doing before. I went into it for making a difference,
Yeah.
and helping people that I want to help. I'm not impressed by people, and material stuff is nice. Don't get me wrong, if you can get it, but it doesn't. It's not in here.
No.
It's never been my driver. When I get a letter from someone saying that, you know what, I've passed this exam, or I've overcome this big issue, and the work you've done with me, you know, whatever they had, and whatever little contribution I had in their life, and I get emails all the time, people saying, you know, and that's what keeps me going. When I get, you know, the email of the, you know, the young 20-year-old girl saying that, you know what, the work you did with me helped me get confident, and my social avoidance turned around, and my anxiety got better. Now I've got a functional life. You know, from the lad who's doing well in sport and scoring goals in top league, from the elderly gentleman who's, you know, lost everything and they got their life back, from the woman who's sort of, you know, at their optimum weight and feeling great, and that's sort of really what really gets me, keeps me going, and I don't rely on it, and I don't think it's down to me. I don't do anything special. I have been known to get results with people a lot quicker, and a lot more sustaining, so people tell me, than the norm. But I've always seen that more as I've always undermined that. I've always downplayed that, because I know everyone's different, and I don't like to think it's me doing anything. I've just got this sort of set of skills, experiences, and knowledge, and I apply it to the best of my ability. I've won awards in coaching. I've got some high accolades in therapy. Some big people have said some nice things about me, and I'm very grateful for that. I've been very fortunate, like, you know, to have written best-selling books. And when I first started writing my first book, I got it out there. It was at a point where no one would take me on, Anne-Marie, as a publisher. No publisher would entertain me. I had a lot to offer, and I just got it out there myself. And I couldn't spell very well. I couldn't type very well. Didn't know nouns, verbs, and I put it out there, and I copped so much criticism. So how can we take you seriously? And I said, well, it doesn't matter what you take me. If someone reads it, and I had so much good feedback about it too, and it turns their life, then I'm okay with that. Eventually, what I would do, I'd get a publisher, we'd sort of tidy it up, and I'd learn, because English wasn't my first language. I'd learn, because I needed to learn. I needed to learn nouns, verbs, for the way I was doing. But, you know, I've written 10 best-selling resource manuals, and 3 best-selling books now. There's not a grammatical error in there, and that's down to the hard work of people around me, but also myself, sheer drive. So the message I send out to people, for sure, is self-belief is imperative, and I'm certainly nothing special. There's nothing special about me. I was born into a family with no determination and belief. Got through in my journey, Anne-Marie, in coaching, in sport, and in therapy. There's been more talented people than me, for sure. I think so. They explain things maybe better than I can. They can do the academia better than I can. But one thing that I've had is that pure desire, the intent. And it's the intent that sort of carries that belief. And I did a talk, Anne-Marie, to like a number of business leaders a while ago, and I talked to these business people. I was doing a talk, and one of the guys said to me afterwards, he goes, you know what? He goes, he was a top businessman, and he goes, you know, I love your stuff. I think you stand for a lot of good in the world. And he said, I just want to take you to one side. And if you're going to do more corporate stuff, and bearing in mind I've done corporate stuff, and I wrote a big best-selling book in business. I've been doing it for a while now. He goes, if you really want to really go for it in corporate, I recommend doing this, and I recommend doing that. I recommend changing the image. I recommend doing this. I said, well, if I did that, and it wouldn't be me. I wouldn't feel I'm being authentic. And furthermore, yous are all here listening, and I'm adding value to your organisations. And the point being, and he then flagged up some of my YouTube videos. I have fun and games in YouTube videos sometimes. I do it because people give me some good feedback too, and I do it because it's a way to connect with a wider audience, especially younger people. One of my inspirations is to help younger people because they don't always have the resources people have, at least financially, at a young age. And I thought to connect to them, I'll find a way, and the way to connect to them is to make it more lighthearted. And he says to me, he goes, YouTube videos in the corporate sector. And I said, well, you know, if 1 billion people ridicule me from the videos I do, the 2-minute ones I do, and one person send me an email saying, you know what, you did a video and you've helped my life, and I get more than that, it would be worth it to me. Because I know as that person, Anne-Marie, as a 15, 16-year-old teen, I know as that person, as a 15, 16-year-old who was under so much pressure. I was under more pressure, especially when my dad got injured at work and my mum was ill, there's no money coming in. And to have to go to school and to work in a factory and to take those big responsibilities. And I know young people have got pressure now, a different sort of pressure, but the pressure I was under, you fall in the wrong crowd and you go days without eating. And at that point there, I realized that it can be a lonely world. There was no teachers who looked out for me, and it wasn't their job to do so. They just put more pressure on me. And that was my inspiration. Eventually, I said to myself at that point there, someone gave me some praise and said, you know, very talented, you got a lot to offer, just keep working hard, you'll get there. And I never forget that. And I always said to myself that if I ever make it one day, I'm going to devote a proportion of my time to helping people that are, if not where I was, but are in a parallel to that. And that's for me is important, more important than anything in the work I do. Because I think ultimately in the end, that's what life is about. You know, I think if you can't share and help someone else,
well, life, you know, life is about that for some people, and it's not for
you know. Precise, and I appreciate that, and that's fine too.
And you know what I'm trying to say is, it's interesting, isn't it, when we look at your chart? I mean, you know, if I was to read this to somebody who was working in not working in IT or retail, and they were happy, you know, just going home, this would not resonate with them.
But, sure,
you know,
exactly.
Everything that you know, we've discussed so far about your profile and about you bringing, you know, depth into the world. You're here to contribute. You're here to be a leader, an authority figure. It's about creating systems for people. It's about bringing people together, creating groups for people, you know, and the challenges that you faced as a child relating to isolation, fear of rejection. But what's got you through that is you tapping into that unstoppable power. And the 99 number as a talent is a huge catalytic energy, and it really can excel your growth and learning, not just within you, but within others around you as well, which is great for you within your teaching environment. And when you're in balance with this, because obviously all the numbers have a polarity, but when you're in balance, you will feel powerful, secure, stable, and you will have an unnerving self-belief. Now, what you also have as a goal as well is an 11-2 number, which is about truth, wisdom, structure, and harmony. So this is really quite a counseling number. It's about being resilient, but it's also about building a structure as well. So this means that you will be a great rock for people. People will come to you, and you know, you'll be able to counsel them. It's that healer. There's also a building aspect to it, meaning the people holding this energy will be great builders of either physical objects or metaphysical philosophies. There's a polarity theme of life and death. So this is about you kind of understanding the impermanence of our reality, the impermanence of our nature. It makes you very logical as well. You're really quite practical. So with the 5-1 profile, they're quite practical people. So they might have great ideas, spiritual ideas, even massive concepts, but they will bring it forward in a practical way. So it's universal and it's long lasting. So your goal with this is about assimilating knowledge, truth, systems, and structure, coupled with your understanding on how things work and how they should work, which will make the lasting contribution to others. People will be able to open up to you and feel safe, supported, and loved by the space that you create for them without the fear of being rejected. Does that resonate with you?
I think so. I think that certainly from the feedback I get in teaching and doing one-to-one work, that resonates a lot. I mean, I can't comment on it in the sense that the feedback I get is the opinion of other people, whether I make them feel safe. But certainly, as a coach and therapist, my goal is to help people feel as safe as they possibly can. Whether it's to reevaluate aspects of their life, they're going back into the past, whether it's to be able to do that and to go forward. For sure, it resonates a lot. And to be honest, Anne-Marie, it's not something I learned. It's something I seem to have had from an early age, and I haven't even worked on it. To be honest, it's not really worked on. I'm not a big believer in things come naturally in one sense, yet I think certain people, from the sculpt of our experiences and our biology and all these, like a cocktail, a perfect storm, is something that's come naturally to me in that sense. I feel comfortable in that role. I feel happy.
I get that, and it's what you're striving to, to bring out in the world as well. And obviously going through that early challenge, having the polarity of that, having the rejection, know what it feels like to be kind of disconnected in some way, to then going through what you've gone through, to be that counselor, to be that support. You've got a really resilient aura for people. So people, and for you, it's beneficial to have this because you can bounce back. You can always bounce back. You've got the 9, which is the power, the unstoppable power, and you're also able to assimilate truth and bounce back.
Yeah, no, very much so. Yeah, that's for sure. For sure, I think that that makes a lot of sense. And I've had adversity in my life. I know that people have had that as well. And certainly I don't stay in a place for too long, or longer than I need to. I learn what I need to learn, and then we go forward. That's been the story of my life. Yeah,
that's a good thing. That's definitely one of the things in your 5-1 profile. They need to come in, they need to do what they need to do, and they need to leave. It's not for you to hang around too long. It's for you to go in and do what you do and go. Because you'll find people project onto you, and they can project the good and they can project the bad onto you as well.
Very much so. Yeah, I agree. That's for sure.
And you'll find that's quite big, a big theme in your life is people projecting onto you.
Yeah, no, very much so. That's interesting, Anne-Marie. When you say projecting their own feelings, their own.
Yeah, it's this dog's driving me crazy. They'll project onto you, so they'll either love you,
yes,
or they'll hate you.
Yes, I think so. That's a really fascinating comment that you made there. You know what, Anne-Marie? I kind of have this deja vu moment there for the amount of people who've. I've had a moment there. I've heard that so many times from as long as I can remember. So it's kind of, I had one of those sort of spooky moments then where, no, very much so. I've had people say that to me very often across all. I'm sort of reflecting. I'm sort of thinking back to certain people who've been very influential in my life, personally, professionally. There's no real in between. There's something, yeah, exactly, and that's me doing nothing. Sometimes I kind of do in tune myself, but certainly when I was younger, I was baffled at how people would have, you know, like overall, you know, they don't know me, and they've got this sort of affinity, but also they can't stand me and they don't know me either. I'm like, I'm actually not a bad person. You get to know me, I'm okay. But equally, on the other hand, I'm like, well, I don't think I deserve that sort of, you know.
Honestly, this will have been absolutely massive for you. Also,
yeah,
especially as a child, like your parents, your teachers, your mentors, they will have projected onto you, and you will have this massive feeling of, oh shit, you know, what if I can't live up here?
Oh yeah, for sure, very much so. And I smile there, and I remember once I had I started a course, and well, this was at school, and I was really struggling at school academically, and was having so many problems in the house, and I was sort of called in because I wasn't turning up, and when I was turning up, I wasn't in a good place because I'd be working all weekend and trying to play sport, and they had this meeting about me, about, you know, whether I get kicked out of school or keep me on, and one of the teachers, and I never forget, there was like a group of teachers, and they wanted to bring my parents to school to talk to them about me, and they weren't in no shape to go to school. Dad was injured at work, he was in hospital, and Mum was really, really ill, so they were going to come along. So I went in and spoke to myself, and there was like a hostility in the room. And here I was, just this happy-go-lucky, easygoing teenager that sort of never went out of his way to harm anybody. And you know, don't get me wrong, I wasn't a saint, that's for sure. But then equally, there was other teachers that would sort of defame me to the. And one teacher stood up and said, "Well, you know, Jim's the most lovable person I've ever met in my life." And I'm like, "Wow." You know, and even if I'm like, wow, that's pretty deep stuff for someone who I don't really know very well. And that was sort of such, the affection was on one corner, but on the other corner, it was like, you know, banishing from school, and, you know, sending him out. And I'm like, wow, how could they be so hostile to someone in, you know, and that's been the theme, I think, for me. And probably carries on that way. And the events I do,
it will
around the world, I tend to get that. I tend to get, you know, there's no really in between feedback.
It will carry on because it's your profile, and it's just about you kind of understanding a bit more about it. So it's going to be beneficial for you to research a bit more about it. So I'll send you some links, because
it'd be fascinating.
It's massive, this 5-1 profile, because you carry such responsibility. And people project onto you, you know, there'll be people drawn to you like, you know, magnets, because they see you, you know, they're projecting onto you that you're, you know, you've got all the answers to solve their problems. And then, you know, there'll be the others as well, or, you know, you'll just have to say one thing wrong, and then that's it. It's oh no, he's just not what he, you know, says he is. And
no, very much so. I've heard that many times.
This is all about your reputation, and it's important for you, like we just said, you go in, you do your work, and you go.
Yes, I've learned to do that, and it's a great point. I've learned to do that, and I think that when I went, when I made some changes in my own life, and I think not long after I made changes in my own life, I felt that, you know, I was doing well in my work prior to then, and I was authentic and myself, but I felt that I really wanted to connect with my sense of self on a deeper level, that my best work would come through doing that. And I thought, having done that, it certainly left me open. And in a naive way, I felt that, you know, there's a lot of good people out there, but in a naive way, I felt that, you know, most people, but there are some people out there that sort of would go out of their way to say stuff and do stuff, and rather than worry about their own goals, they made it their business to even try and get in my way as well for no reason. I don't know, and it makes sense now. But I've never sort of been one to rise to it all, and now I'm learning a lot more, and I do that now. I do that now. I do what you said now. I think I got that point where I had a realization that you can't please everyone, and my plan now, and I've got a stall, and like a market stall, so to speak, and I'm not for everybody, and that's fine, but I'm going to help a lot of people. And I do get that on courses too. I get people sometimes on courses saying, well, you know, on the bigger events, not so much the smaller ones, because they know what they're going to get. Each with the bigger events, they come to have a look. I'll get some people coming in saying he's not what I thought when I speak at the conferences, what I thought he was, and
Yeah.
but then I'll get people saying he's even more. You know, and then either way, you know, I've just maintained now that I go there, I do the best I can, and that's all I can do. You know, and certainly I'm not perfect, but I'm real. You know, and that's the most important thing to me. And I make there's no secrets. I don't have a different life behind closed doors, so to speak. I am the same person. Obviously, I adjust professionally, but I am what you see is what you get. There's no difference. And I think for people, sometimes they like to create an image and aura about someone. But I always maintain that there's no matter who you are, there's no perfect human being. And if they are, I don't think they're going to be any good to anyone, because to truly understand other people, you need to have gone through your own flaws. And I've got flaws now, and I'm improving now, and I will carry on improving. I'm not the finished article, never will be, Anne-Marie. There's things about me that I know, you know, could do with improving, and I do the best to improve every day. That's all you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a big thing, this 5-1. So I'll send you more information.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It's really interesting, and like I say, it you know, you're here with a big mission, and everything you're saying is in alignment with your hologenetic profile. So you're obviously, without having to, you know, tell you totally, you know, on the right lines with what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I feel so, and I feel like this conversation and the session we've had, hopefully people will watch this and see. I feel a benefit. It's brought things into my conscious awareness that were unconscious. I've had realizations, and I think that change happens through realizations. I think that there are parts of the brain that we can only access through experiences, in my view, and I felt this really beneficial. I really do, and I felt that, you know, I can't comment on other people. I don't know what they are in their life. I don't know what they'll get out of the session, but certainly my own experience, Anne-Marie, this evening, I didn't know a great deal about the life plan, but I certainly have felt it really beneficial, and hopefully people watching will get the insight. And I felt what a great way to talk about it is to demonstrate it, and you know, I've been authentic and true and open, and I think that it'll give people a better understanding. And now I understand it, I think it's a really good thing for me to certainly go away and think,
it's you know, it's a privilege to read.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to read anybody's chart. Yeah, I did something on Sunday, and I was just in awe of the people that I was reading for. It was amazing. Your soul destiny, by the way, just before we finish, is the 7-7. So where you had that challenge in your early part of the life, it's actually what your soul is here to achieve. So the 7-7 is a talent, is bringing those people together and creating that space for them, which is what you're trying to do. So, you know, I guess in a metaphysical sense, you have to go through that challenge to embody it as a talent, but not just as a talent, as your soul destiny. So, and I'll certainly send more stuff over for you to read that. I think.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. And 7-7 is interesting, really. Maybe it's a lot of other people's numbers too, but you'll see the number 7 dot around everywhere, wherever I am. And you know my course, and read. There'll be times that I'll sort of doodle a 7 as an anchor, and yeah, that was quite fascinating, really. And 7 wristbands, and I might be a bit compulsive disorder. I think, I'm not sure, obsessive compulsive, I don't know, but I have got this fascination with that number, and no, very much so. And wherever I'm on a course, and I'll doodle it, or wherever I make a point of doing things.
Good. Good.
Yeah,
it's really magnetic. It brings people in.
Yeah, that's really fascinating stuff, for sure. But that's been a pleasure. I'm mindful of your time, and you've been very, very great to do the session. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, Anne-Marie, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, yeah, they can go on my website, which is annemarielifecoach.com, or they can email me at iam@annemarielifecoach.com.
Yeah, no, anyone, you know, watching, I really recommend Anne-Marie's work. She's great at what she does, really authentic, and I've seen you in action, helping people get the best out of themselves. That's for sure. And tonight's been really fascinating. And so, I mean, life plans aren't the only thing you do as well. You do many other things. There's no doubt you can email people too. You know, do coaching, you do the therapies, and I don't know where you're up to in terms of all that. You're still doing coaching, Anne-Marie, and the therapy, and yeah.
Well, at the minute, I'm putting together, because I'm setting up a spiritual and holistic training academy. So that'll be happening next year. So I will be training holistic and spiritual life coaches and healers and things like that. So it's definitely the path that I'm going down.
Yeah, that's really amazing. So I really want to thank you again, Anne-Marie, and thank everybody for tuning in. It's been a fascinating hour or so. Really has. I've really enjoyed it. The path of self-discovery. And yeah, thanks again, Anne-Marie. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you.
My pleasure.